want you to do is speak up. I think lots of you can speak now. I'm going to allow Mira as well. So, anyone like to choose? Better sort out my hair for YouTube, for a big Pharma-Tube. Anybody, guys, let me know if you want to choose. Otherwise, I will choose for you. Oh, somebody's coming through. Vansha, which chapter would you like to study?
Draw.
Okay, excellent. Draw. Let's go straight to draw. Sorry, Ivan. Somebody beat you to it there. Vansha. Is it Vansha or Vansha? I'm not sure how to pronounce your name.
I'm Vansha.
Vansha. Okay, Vansha has chosen draw. It's an excellent idea. It's not an easy phrasal verb. And you'll notice that in this book, guys, I've got hyperlinks thanks to Yuri Christic. I'll keep saying his name. He probably watches sometimes. He makes comments sometimes. And he did all the hyperlinks for my book. He's excellent at doing the layout for books. He's done the layout for both of my books. And I'm really happy with what he's done because the PDFs work brilliantly. They've got hyperlinks. So I'm very happy with that. Now, you first of all get a vocabulary table in this book, and you very often get a few pictures. So the pictures are there to try to draw out the meaning of these phrasal verbs. Yeah, they're there to try to help you work out, fathom out the meaning of these phrasal verbs, because they're not always that simple. So have a look at the first picture. As night was drawing in or drawing on, both work, the festival goers were drawn towards the main stage. Now I've managed to put 3 in that one sentence. Drawing, when night draws in, it just gets closer and closer, or it gets further and further. It gets later and later. Let's say it's either gets later and later, or it gets closer and closer. So night drawing in could mean that it's early. It could mean that it's about 4 or 5 o'clock and the night's drawing in, it's getting closer and closer, or it could mean that it's really quite late, 11 or 12, and it's just getting later and later. Same for drawing on. I don't really feel any difference between those two phrasal verbs, but to be drawn towards something or somebody means to be attracted to that thing, and this one's very common, certainly, to be drawn towards something or somebody. Now, the next one is the meeting dragged on for an extra hour. Now, I hope a lot of you remember drag on. When something drags on, and we often say for and in a period of time, it means it lasts a long time. Look at these people. They are really bored. And I'm sorry, YouTube, you won't be able to see. Pharma-Tube, you're not allowed to see this. You've got to come to Telegram to see my ebook and to see all of the questions that we're doing today. So you can see everybody looks really bored in this picture. And that's because the meeting dragged on for an extra hour. We've all been in those meetings where they drag on, where you think this is a waste of time, I shouldn't be here, and I'm bored. So when you're in that situation, the meeting drags on. But you could say it like this: he drew his presentation out for an hour longer than necessary. When you draw something out, you make it longer than is necessary. And so usually everybody hates that person who draws the meetings out for much longer than necessary, because it stops you, well, it steals your free time. Yeah, and of course, none of us like boring meetings. Now, the last one's important. Drawing on her wealth of experience. When you draw on something, inner resources, it's very similar to calling on your inner resources. And we did call on recently. So drawing on her wealth of experience, or calling on her wealth of experience, the psychologist managed to draw the child out of her shell. Now, this is a typical expression, very, very common. When you draw somebody out of their shell, it means that they become more sociable. They open up. Yeah, is another way of putting it. It's the opposite of clam up, where if you clam up, you become more reserved. If you open up, you become more sociable, more talkative. And so when you draw somebody out of their shell, you make them more communicative. Okay, so let's have a try at the exercise now, and we'll see how it goes. So I want you to jump in when you're ready. You notice I always use that phrasal verb jump in. Yeah, I didn't say join in. I think one of the students thought I said join in one of the previous classes, and I didn't say join in. Join in just means join, and jump in, it means there's an element of jumping in there, isn't there? And so there's an element of join in, but quickly and spontaneously. Okay, so who would like to jump in for the first question? I'm going to read it out. The sun had already gone down, the night was drawing, and Detective O'Connor was drawing a list of suspects. Let's do the first one first. Who wants to jump in on the night was drawing? What's it going to be, guys? We've just done it on that first picture. Who knows the answer? Just shout out. Anybody know the answer? Guys, don't be shy. Let me draw you out of your shells. Don't be shy, guys. Anybody know the answer? Drawing on, okay. Pooya on YouTube has said the answer. Pooya, what are you doing on Pharma-Tube? Leave Pharma-Tube. Leave Pharma-Tube. Come to Telegram. You got the answer right, yeah? So the sun had already gone down. The night was drawing on or drawing in, both correct. And Detective O'Connor was drawing a list of suspects. Who knows the answer for this one, guys? This one means to create a draft version of something. Yeah, it means to create a draft version of something, very often a list, but it doesn't have to be. So, anybody know the answer? Who wants to jump in? Oh, say that again.
Drawing out?
Not drawing out, I'm afraid. Not drawing out. Not for a list. No, not drawing out a list. You draw somebody out of their shell, but you don't draw out a list. Anybody else know the answer? Any other options? So, anybody else? Go on, Vansha.
No clue.
No clue. Okay, it's draw up, Vansha. It's draw up a list of suspects. When you draw something up, you create a draft version. Okay, it's just creating that very first draft version, but you very often draw up a list. Very often it collocates very well with list, and we've seen that with these phrasal verbs, collocations are so important. So I mean, it really is the night that draws on or draws in. You can say the evening drew on or drew in, something like that. But do remember that the nouns that they often collocate with, and sometimes it's not just objects but subjects as well. Do try to remember the nouns that are often used with them. Okay, who knows the next one? Having drawn a chair. Anybody got an idea here? Who wants to jump in? Nobody? Yeah, no ideas? Oh, okay. Pooya is here. Pooya, I'm going to allow you to speak because you are here, and I'm assuming it's the same person that just got the question right on YouTube. What do you think?
Out?
Not out, guys, not out. It's not draw out a chair, I'm afraid. This is exactly the same as having pulled a chair. Exactly the same preposition. Any ideas? What would it be if it were pulled? Come on, somebody came through there. Somebody wants to answer. Nobody knows, guys? Nobody knows this one? I thought this one was... This means this, yeah? It means... it means that. Having pulled up a chair, having drawn up a chair. You draw up a chair, guys. You pull up a chair, yeah? And it just means prepare the chair for you to sit on. That's all it means. Yes, Robert Skolimowski, you are absolutely right. You draw up a chair, you pull up a chair. Yeah, but always remember these phrasal verbs in clusters. And so draw up and pull up are exactly the same. There's no difference whatsoever. Good morning, Ankit. What are you doing on Pharma-Tube? I'm going to keep saying it to all of my Pharma-Tube viewers. You are supporting AstraZeneca, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, the most disgusting people on the face of the earth. The people who are descending to hell at the moment, and may God have mercy on their souls. Okay, let's carry on. He sat down and started to narrow down the list by considering their alibis. Not one of the suspects had a watertight alibi, so he could see that this case was likely to drag for longer than expected. Who knows the answer here? Go on, Louisa. Go on, say again. I think you said on. I think you said on. Excellent. The case was likely to drag on for longer than expected. Yeah, and so when something drags on, it bores you and it lasts much longer than it should do. Yeah, we've all been in those. We've all been in those meetings. That's the most obvious situation. But I suppose even when you're waiting. Well, you're waiting for a doctor's appointment. Usually the wait can drag on the time that you're sitting there in the appointment room or in the clinic anyway. But yeah, meetings drag on for longer than expected. It seemed likely that he would need to draw all those precious skills he had picked up over the years. Now this one, it means summon inner resources. Who knows the answer here? Any ideas? Good. Likely to draw on, very good, Louisa. It seemed likely that you would need to draw on all those precious skills. So when you draw on something, you call on those inner resources. Call on is a direct synonym. You call on those inner resources, you draw on those inner resources. You make use of those inner resources. Yeah, you can even summon up and conjure up those inner resources. And we've looked at those as well. Yeah, and it just means you use them. You make use of them. Although I must admit, yeah, draw on and call on is more common. So all those precious skills here picked up over the years. Firstly, he needed to draw a number of credible witnesses, and then he might be able to drag the truth of one of them. So let's firstly go to the firstly. Firstly, he needed to draw a number of credible witnesses. What do you think, guys? Which preposition's missing here? And this one means to get lots of people in a group. Yeah, I don't want to say somebody together. Very good, Louisa. You're very good at this. You do know your phrasal verbs very well. He would need to draw together, exactly, a number of credible witnesses. And this just means collect people together, gather people together. When you draw people together, you gather them together. And then he might be able to drag the truth. Yeah, this means extract, and we very often use it with truth and money, and it's when you try and force that person. It's more often information, actually. It's usually the truth, it's information. Which one do you think this is? Anybody?
Out.
Very good. Drag the truth out of one of them. Yeah, and I want you to remember that out of is the opposite of into. I think a lot of students don't realise this, even when they're at advanced level. It's a piece of information that they've missed. And they think that out from is acceptable when it's not. It's not. Stay away from it. Out of, take something out of your pocket, put something into your pocket. Yeah? And it's always like that. Get out of the car, get into the car. Yeah, they're opposites. Okay, let's go on to the next exercise. We'll have a look at this one, exercise 2. I wish my boss wouldn't draw the meetings. So what do you think is the answer here? Draw the meetings.
On.
Not on, I'm afraid. You can say the meeting drew on or dragged on is far more common. The meeting dragged on, no object, but you can't say draw the meetings
Out.
much better. Draw the meetings out, drag the meetings out, yeah, for 1 hour. When you make something longer than necessary, you drag it out. The meeting itself drags on, it bores you. Yeah, so they are similar, those two, but look at the different way they're used. You say, my boss drags the meetings on for hours, or you say the meeting, my boss drags the meetings on for hours, or my boss drags the meetings out. It's so easy to get a muddle with these phrasal verbs. My boss drags the meetings out for hours, or you can say the meeting dragged on. Yeah, that's the difference between the two. Okay, number 2, the festival usually draws. Who knows the answer here, guys? About 50,000 people. Anybody want to say? Don't be shy, guys. I don't care if you've already spoken.
Maybe it draws out.
Not draws out. This means collect people in one place. Do you want to have another go?
Together.
Together. Draw together, gather together. Yeah, these together ones are when lots of people come together. And yeah, that's another one. To come together, to bring people together, to draw people together. Yeah, most of the together ones are a little bit easier. And somebody has just mentioned a guy called Robert on Pharma-Tube. Get off Pharma-Tube, Robert. You want to join us in Telegram. Someone's just said draws in. And yes, you're absolutely right, Robert. We need you on Telegram. Come to Telegram. The festival usually draws in about 50,000 people. Is absolutely correct. So well done, Robert. You can use that as well because it draws in. Here we mean into the festival. So the festival usually draws in. Yeah, that one works as well, but draws together is good as well. Okay, number 3. Is that your taxi? A car has just drawn outside. Who thinks they know the answer here?
Drawn up.
Very good, Mira. Very, very good. You're absolutely correct. Cars draw up. They pull up as well. Yeah. And we say it that a taxi has drawn up outside, certainly. When a car draws up or pulls up, they just come to a stop. So remember this draw up because you can draw up a chair. You can draw up a list of suspects, meaning make a rough version of that draft. And you can also say a car draws up when it comes to a stop. Okay, number 4, the proton is always drawn the electron on account of its electric charge. Any scientists out there?
Towards.
Towards, excellent. I'm not sure who said that, but that's, I think it's Ivan. Well done, Ivan. Yeah, drawn towards the electron, attracted to. Okay, number 5, are you sure that he has calmed down? I don't want to be drawn another pointless argument. Any ideas here? And dragged would work as well. Drag and draw are quite similar. Any answers here, guys? Drawn, what would we use with argument? I was drawn... Into, good. I'm glad you put the 2 in there because it is important. We would always say drawn into another argument and not just drawn in another argument. It needs the 2 there. Drawn into another pointless argument. Yeah, when somebody drags you into an argument. Go on, please. Questions? Go on.
Yeah, if I put into instead of in, doesn't sound formal?
It sounds correct to me, whereas in sounds wrong. I mean, if you want to always be formally correct, use into plus object and in when there's no object, okay? So what I mean is, something like this, put something into your pocket, but if you just say, did you bring that? Did you bring something in, meaning bring it into the house? Now notice I put the into with the house, yeah? Bring something into the house or bring something in. Put something into your pocket or put something in, yeah? You can use in when there's no object, definitely, and we wouldn't use into with no object. So use in with no object and use into when there's an object. Yeah, and I do realise that nowadays, because of the fact that things change in language, we often say get in the car. We do often drop the 2 there, get in the car instead of get into the car. But formally, I would always prefer get into the car. But I've got to be honest and say that that's not how we speak anymore. And loads of people will say just get in the car instead of get into the car. Okay? Does that answer your question, Ivan? Or has that confused you further?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, don't call me sir. I'm not a sir. I'm not a knight of the round table or something. But Dave is fine. But yeah, certainly, it's a good question, what you've just asked. So into plus object and in when there's no object, and never call me sir. Okay, come on to number 6. Is it number 6 now? Where am I? Yeah, number 6. He's an incredibly shy teenager. I think he will open up, yeah, which means become more sociable, if we draw him of his shell. Who wants to jump in here?
Out.
Excellent. Draw somebody out of their shell. Yeah, make them more sociable. We saw the psychologist or psychiatrist doing exactly that, drawing the kids out of their shell. Yeah. Okay, number 7. Who wants to go for number 7? We need to draw a rough draft, and there's your clue, because it collocates with that expression. What do you think? We need to draw
Up.
Draw up a rough draft of the plans. Yeah, you draw something up when it's a rough draft. Okay, and then once you have drawn, oh, this is a tricky one, very rare this one. Once you have drawn the excess water, you will be left with a white precipitate of silver bromide. Any chemists out there? Chemistry is a wonderful subject. Nobody? This means, yeah, when you have a liquid and a solid that are, usually it's a liquid and a solid, and they are immiscible, they don't mix. And so you want to separate the liquid and the solid. And so what you do is you, like with a decanter, you allow the liquid to run off, to trickle out. I don't want to say the word really. And you're left with the solid precipitate. Any ideas? Have I just confused everybody even more?
Draw out.
Drawn off, I'm afraid, guys. Drawn off. Once you have drawn off the excess water, and this just means allow the excess water to trickle away. And I understand why some people said away there, to trickle away, to run away, allow the excess water to run away. So when you draw something off, that's really, really rare. But as you can see in this phrasal verb book, I've tried to include as many different phrasal verbs as possible, and that means that some rare ones are in there as well. But I must admit that's not one that you will be using very often unless you work in the laboratory, you know, unless you're doing chemical reactions and that kind of thing. Yeah, remember that to give off was very chemical. When a reaction gives off a gas, maybe it gives off carbon dioxide gas. Very often it does, because carbon dioxide is a very common chemical compound. Or maybe you're left with a solid and a liquid, and you want to separate the two, so you draw off the liquid. Okay. So that's all we've got time for today. I hope that's all been useful for you, guys. I see Juliana's come, so I'll allow her to speak. So and Stefano's here again. So do come along in the mornings, guys. This is when I'm around. If you're still watching me on Pharma-Tube, please stop supporting the jab merchants, the clowns, the COVID clowns. We have to stop supporting them. It's the only way we will stop children from dying unnecessarily. And it's something I feel very strongly about. And so get the hell off Pharma-Tube. They disgust me. And the people that sponsor them disgust me. And the people that sponsor those ridiculous companies, those pharma companies, disgust me. There's nothing that we can do that would ever make up for the disgusting things that they're doing to our children. Okay, so if you're on Pharma-Tube, please get off of that and come and join us on Telegram. And to my Telegram listeners, you are my favourites. I always like the fact that you're coming here and helping me do these lessons. Please stick around, because we're going to do loads more on phrasal verbs, and we will be the course for phrasal verbs will be ready soon, where you'll be able to get this free book and a load of free phrasal verb lessons. These lessons will never be available for free on any platforms. They're never going to go onto YouTube. I've decided that Pharma-Tube don't deserve my hard work. So yeah, please come on to Telegram, guys, if you want to take part in the lesson. Thanks everybody for watching, and I hope to see you all tomorrow morning.
Thank you.